October 27, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart. This is what the chart looked like today. You can look down at the descriptions below to see where I actually saw setups and where I actually took my trades. Now, I just want to point out there's only one piece of economic data that came out, actually two. The core PCE Price Index came out around 5:30, which is about right here. And another time at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard, right about here, it was the revised consumer sentiment. And both didn't really shock the market too badly. Overall, it looks like it was kind of a choppy downtrend. It was kind of a stair step, sold off, consolidated, sold off, and then consolidated. So I would say probably just kind of a slow sell off with two real steps. I'm going to go into the trades today. I only took one trade today. Also, I've been noticing, not just today, but today I just wanted to mark them up, a lot of gaps, and I think they're potential trades, so I'll be watching them and probably taking future trades like that. This is what the pre-market looked like. Pre-market highs, pre-market lows. At this time of day, I was thinking we're probably going to be ranging today because it was pretty consistent highs. Well, not really consistent, but it is looking like it's staying tightly within this range. Market opens. I don't see any, didn't mean to do that. Market opens, don't really see any setups. Starts going down. I first draw this trend channel coming down from here, and pretty much where the midline of this yellow channel is, where I had the channel. Then it broke out, welled outside for a bit, and continued going down. That's where I extended it from the midline down to here, and then put in the midline. So it looked like it was kind of a two-tier channel. There's no clean entry here. There are several second entries, but they just don't look good for one reason or another. They're usually very congested or just tightly forming. Prices go up. I do see the first setup here. I call it an almost setup because it's a new low here. The first entry short comes up. It's about to create a second entry short. So this second entry short is now confirmed, but I needed this bar, the signal bar, to close below the EMA to be a safer trade. Because at this point, I am just banking off the possibility that this top of this yellow down channel is valid. And there's nothing to say it couldn't come up and push again, because this could be a first entry long forming and a second entry long. Turns out it's a second entry short, but there wasn't enough to make it a good trade. Prices continue moving down. I like that it's confirming on the bottom. And I noticed there was a gap here. I noticed that when it closes here and it opens and there's a gap, there's usually a fill and it continues in the same direction. Now I'm going to show a few more of these throughout the today specifically because I just noticed it a lot today. Not necessarily all-time trade, but this one I definitely wouldn't have taken just because there's not that much room to the localized bottom. So here you really don't know if it's actually going to bottom out because it's breaking through the pre-market lows. It might actually be a fail breakout of the pre-market. You know, it might actually go right back in. Prices then continue moving down. It starts crawling up. I think I see this ugly looking up green up channel, but doesn't fit very nicely. So no setups there. Prices then continue. It breaks out now out of the strong green channel. I don't see any clean setups. It's getting really choppy. Keeps moving. I noticed a second gap. But here, you'll notice that it closed down here and it opened up here. So it technically didn't gap, but there's a gap between the open and close. So this is also a trade that I definitely wouldn't have taken, but it's just something I noticed. There is a lower high here, and I think this is a possible trade because you have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, pulls back by one tick, then flashes down. So I think this is a possible trade because it's confirming the second entry short is a strong push below the EMA and has a really strong close. There's also enough room to make it down to the localized low, because the low you'd be worried about for a potential bounce maybe here and maybe here. Now, I did have this top of the trading channel drawn, but I wasn't sure if this bottom was valid because this is kind of a weak touch. So this trade looked like it would have worked out. Prices then continue moving down, flashes back up. I do see this, see it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I see this lower high here. This lower high, it is a very good signal bar, so it feels a little dangerous to try to take. Also, new low, new high, first entry long, second entry long. Again, this is a terrible signal bar. Even the trigger bar feels, it looks good, but it's hard to really trust this setup. Prices then continue moving. This is another gap that I noticed. It closed here and opened here. And every time that there's a gap, it seems like it fills and then moves back in the direction. I see a lower high here. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short, moves up and then comes back down. Now, this is a lower high. I don't think it's that good a setup, mainly because it confirms the second entry short, but it's already at the low of this potential support range. So this could be potentially in a range and it's already near the lows. So just decided to skip that one. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Prices then continue moving down, breaks out. It just gets really choppy right now. So right now it's just hard to really know what the bias is, except there's a slow, gradual sell-off, but there's these big corrections. Prices continue moving up, falls into this green channel, breaks out. See a second entry long here. It's a new high, it's first entry long, pulls back, second entry long. When I see this, I'm definitely not thinking there's a trade. But once I see this, it actually ticked one tick below, wrapped everybody deciding to go short. If you thought this is like a breakout and you're thinking one push down, second push, but here I honestly don't think you would even go short. But if you did, because there's no real setup, it's like a first entry short, there's no second entry short. If you decide to just suddenly go short, I'm not sure you would, but it did go one tick below, then flashed very strongly up. So when I saw this, it actually made me think this could be a long trap because it ticked one tick below, flashed up, it made one attempt higher. Second attempt, it did meet and match the high. So I was thinking this could actually flash up a little bit and then come all the way back down. So I wasn't 100% sure what was happening here. So if you did want to take the trade, I think you'd have to enter on the engulfing bar right here as soon as it passes above. But this is a terrible signal bar, so that's definitely off my radar. And if you decide to take the trade after the close of this trigger bar, you'd have to put your stop way down here, which is very dangerous because it's a very large risk. On top of it, it looks like it already moved up to the potential resistance point up here. And even up to here, if you extended the range all the way over, turns out it would have worked, but this is just, I feel like it wouldn't have worked consistently. Prices then continue moving up, hits the top, breaks out, and I starts trending down. I don't have this yellow channel drawn yet, but I do have a trend line coming down. This red one doesn't exist yet. So I do have three confirmations. One, I count this as two, and three, but you could count as one, two, three, four. No clean setup yet. Technically, you have a new low here. It's a first entry short. Pull back. There's a second entry short here. Forgot to mark it, but second entry short. This is a reasonable setup. It looks like it's not bad. There's enough room to the bottom. You did break out, so it is looking to test the bottom here. So any decision or any fear that the uptrend has played out or hasn't played out can probably be, it's probably not that big a concern now because you already have a bunch of pushes down. So it looks like it's starting a new trend back down. So this is a possible trade. This is the one and only trade that I took. So I have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. What I liked about this trade was it pulled back by one tick, then continued back down. And the previous signal bar, even though it's not the best signal bar, it did close right at and below the EMA. So it's confirming the second entry short. It looks like it's pushing back down. It ticked one tick above and managed to push all the way down. Now it does feel a little risky because it did close a little bit high. So I entered below the original second entry short signal bar right here. I entered, I was able to scalp out. It's just to reduce my risk. Technically, you could probably enter one tick below here, but I felt it was too risky. And it looks like you would have gotten stopped out. Prices then continue moving. I saw a potential setup here that's actually pretty decent. There's a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, same thing. It ticks up and then flashes right back down. And this one closes very strong. So if I wanted to enter this trade, and it's also kind of confirming potentially this red channel, but this red channel I wasn't too firm on, so I wasn't using that as a valid key entry point. However, it is testing the high of the range. So if I saw this, I think I would have entered one tick up below the original signal bar of the second entry short, so it would have been right about here. it looks like it would have left me behind and kept going. However, I did notice this, and I wasn't too sure about this, what I'm seeing yet, but I'm slowly noticing these. This one is a very strong bullish bar close, and it actually gapped. So when it opened, it already gapped below. Then it flashes up to close it and continue back down. So I think this would have been another key entry point to think, okay, I should actually drop my order pretty much at the low of this bar. I would have gotten filled and it flashed down. Looks like it's in a choppy trading range now and it continues moving down. So here I'm having more trust in my yellow channel coming down. This red channel coming down. This yellow one wasn't too firm yet. And after this kind of passed, I didn't think it was in play anymore. Prices in, continue moving down, comes back up. You have a second entry short, new low, first entry short, second entry short, again, a lower high. So it flashes up and it flashes back down. So this is a very strong close again. And I think, okay, this one was a pretty strong, clearly close on the bullish side. This one, I was thinking this is maybe a possible trade. Confirms the second entry short as a strong push below the EMA as a potential rejection by this red channel coming down. As two legs up have been made, one push up, second push up. So this is actually, I thought, a possible trade. Then prices continue moving down. Pops around into this trading range, continues down. I'm thinking it breaks out of this red channel at this point. We've had one touch, two touch, potentially a third confirmation. I was wondering if this is an overshoot. Comes back up. You have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I thought this is a possible trade as well because it's a rejection by the EMA. Also, is a rejection off the top of this potential uh, green channel coming down, and potentially it's being rejected by the outside of this red channel coming down. But I was concerned that maybe it's a failed breakout and might be coming back in. But what gave me more confidence that it's probably a short is it made one leg down, pulled back, a second leg down, and overall sentiment seems like it's pretty bearish now. So even though it looks like it might be a failed breakout, there's enough room to the bottom. The signal part here isn't that good though, but you have a very firm engulfing candle here. So I think if I entered, I would have put it one tick, actually just right at the high, at the lows right here. Looks like it's debatable whether I would have gotten filled or not. Continued moving down. Prices then keep chopping, comes back up. It looks like it's falling into this range now. Hops around, continues chopping. Technically, you have a bunch of second entries all over the place, but they're not the cleanest. So it's like a new high, first entry short, first entry long, second entry long, failed. I'm just watching, sitting tight. It falls into this green channel coming down, comes back up on this yellow channel. Technically, you have a new low here. It's a first entry short. You have a second entry short, but this signal bar is terrible. It doesn't pop up on my radar to even go short. Plus, it's above the EMA, and it's kind of like looking like it's reversing. I did think there's some kind of resistance at this point, but not yet. I drew it in much later. Here's a strong rally up. I'm not sure what happened, and a strong push up. Pops around. At this point, this is where I draw this resistance as a triple test, but there's no setup because you have a new low here, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. It's a good signal bar, but other than trusting that this is a strong resistance, this is a good signal bar. There's enough room to the EMA. It felt a little bit dicey, but there is a second entry short right here. I'll just mark it, but I didn't take it. Prices then continue moving sideways, flashes down, and this is the gap that I see again. So closed here, very strong bearish below the EMA. It opens gapping below, it comes up, fills, and flashes back down. So it seems like whenever there's a gap with this kind of setup where it's very strong, it's a good indication that it's probably going to continue down. Price is going to continue moving. So if I were to take this trade, I would have put it right at the low, right at the close. Price is going to continue moving down. It starts moving up in the green channel, what I think is the green channel. Continues chopping. At this point, it doesn't look like there's that many. I mean, things are just congested at this point, and I was just kind of resigned or just content on probably that one trade that I took. Here again, I see this gap. It closes very strong. It gaps below the open, but this one isn't as clean and nice a setup as this one, but it is just kind of indicate to me like, hey, there's a gap, comes up and fills and flashes back down. Prices then continue moving down, drops around, it starts falling into this green channel again, but it's too late in the day to try to take any trades. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands and just watching it all the way into the close. So today was kind of a little bit more fewer trades than I could find. It's a little sparse. Most of the price action was kind of more at the middle of the day, and then I didn't really quite see very many setups at the end. So also, I just noticed the gap thing that's been happening, so I'll be watching it more carefully, and if I have a better understanding of it, there might be trades to have been taken there. So hopefully that was helpful.